Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Today this will be my Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Team experience from the beginning to the end, where I'll be going over the story and of course the gameplay and some tips on how to get through some of the situations that are in this game and why this is honestly one of my favorite Pokemon games that have ever been created in general. And the remake is also really good of this one, but I do enjoy the old ones. So I hope you will enjoy. And let us get on with the actual video. Well, to start off with, we had to choose some dialogue options on what we would actually do in some real life situations. And, well, the Pokemon I was given from these dialogue options was Machop, the fighting type Pokemon, which I'm pretty sure is the only fighting type there was. And I later come to find out it can be both the best and the worst Pokemon. I also have to choose a partner to accompany me throughout the game, and I choose Mudkip because derby little boy, and I needed a water type. I don't know for why in any particular reason. I just like Mudkip, so I had to choose Mudkip. To start off with, I hear a voice coming from somewhere, which I wake up and I realize it's from the Mudkip just to start, and he says something very familiar.
Hey, you! You're finally awake.
After that, Butterfree comes over, and they need us to go help them because a huge fissure opened up, and their Caterpie fell into it and are now lost. And well, they can't do anything for some absolute weird reason. So we have to go in there and actually rescue this Caterpie, which becomes the entire theme of the game, where we have to go through these weird randomly generated dungeons where there'll be a lot of loot and items, which will help us survive. We also get a few attacks, which most of them throughout the game are going to be absolute useless, uh, and some of them will actually be ones we need in order to win. There'll also be a lot of random Pokemon running around the dungeons, which will cause trouble. Uh, I will learn that way later into this game. It is the most absolute painful thing. Trust me, this will not be an easy game. And that reminds me, if y'all want to see me try to beat this game without dying once throughout it, well, if this game gets, I say, 1,000 likes, I will actually play through the game again without trying to die one time. If I die, back to the beginning. But that would not happen in a million years. So from there on, I find Caterpie, and then we're transported outside of the dungeon. And that's where we learn we actually like saving these Pokemon in trouble. And we get a little reward, which really isn't much, but is helpful for later dungeons throughout the game. Uh, and well, Mudkip decides that it's a very good idea if we formed a rescue team. These teams that will go around actually saving these Pokemon. And we also get a little house for ourselves where we can stay, which is actually customly built depending on the type of Pokemon you are. And later will actually become even better. And this is where Mudkip learns that nobody actually wants to send us mail, maybe because we just created our team a day ago, which would make very good sense. But then a Pelipper comes down and actually sends us some mail, giving us a job where we're meant to go save some Magnemites up from a hill in one of these mystery dungeons where they got stuck. So that is, well, our first quest throughout the game. Not talking about the Turiel dungeon. Well, we get over here to the dungeon, and the two other Magnemites are waiting for us to go in. And this is where we get our very first dungeon, which really tells you a lot about the game. So this is Thunderwave Cave, which is 6 floors long, which isn't very bad. The Pokemon in here are actually very easy to murder. Surprisingly, beating them with your bare fists tends to work out pretty well in this game, considering it's only the first 3 generations. So there honestly isn't too many things that are super effective against fighting types, other than birds. Birds are common, which is actually bad, but there are barely any psychic types, so that is never a problem. But once we get to the top, we find the 2 Magnemites and free them. It's good. Very good. Revive a seat, that's nice. Being able to revive yourself when you die. After that entire ordeal, we're introduced to the Poketown, where there's a bank, item storage, the Kecleon shops, and yeah, you're able to buy some stuff there. And also, if you keep going to the right, you find the Pelipper Post Office, where you can accept the jobs in order to get some free loot and get some team points, which is pretty damn important if you want to 100% the game. I don't know what else it actually does. I'm pretty sure it's just to higher you up the more you progress in the game, like with the quests. 2 at Tiny Wood, that would be nice ones, and 2 at Thunderwave Cave, yeah, that's fine. Oh, and another one at Thunderwave, that's good. As you could hear from me before, pretty much you were able to accept the jobs, and these jobs you were able to do throughout the game to get these rewards and to level up your team. And in between doing the mainline quests, this was the only thing you can really do. So, of course, you want to be selecting most likely the hardest dungeon that you're able to do and the one with the most quests, because then you'll get the most team points to continue in the game. But I won't be really going over much of the parts where I do the grinding. I'll be going over the story parts and just what happens in between the story parts. Okay? So after that, after having been asleep, we get awoken by an earthquake caused by Dugtrio, which his son has gotten stuck at the top of Mount Steel, which I don't know how you get stuck in the top of a mountain, nor how you can't dig down when you're a Diglett. But this is the very first boss dungeon. Now, boss dungeon is a dungeon where you go through a bunch of floors, and at the end, there'll be a boss, as stated. And that one will tend to be a pretty hard boss, but it actually isn't all that bad. I'll go over it. But Mount Steel, pretty much Mount Steel, as the name implies, should have a lot of steel types, right? No, it actually has everything but steel types. I think Aaron is the only steel type in the entire dungeon, other than the final boss. So, legit, almost any type except grass is good in here. Uh, and yeah, water wouldn't be that good, but then again, really, there isn't a lot of steel types. But the most important part is the boss battle, which I'll go over now. So the boss here in this dungeon is a Skarmory. One of the best typing Pokemon out there, Steel Flying being good defensive typing. But in here, that typing honestly does not matter at all because something like immunities and stuff don't exist in this game. Yeah, you can do less damage, but again, you'll always do good damage pretty much. But in this case, the Skarmory honestly isn't that strong. He kind of does very little damage and has barely enough health to actually keep himself going. So this shouldn't be much of a worry, but the tips I can tell you is use your items very well. Keep both you and your ally alive, because if either one of you dies, you have to restart the entire dungeon, which for some dungeons that is detrimental that you have to restart it. Now, if you're using an emulator, you are able to just restart from the beginning of the dungeon. But for a lot of people, you want to play it fair. And yeah, that is completely fair. But this one isn't one of the ones that should give you any problems at all if you just play a little bit. After this, we get to see Jumplove, who needs some help because one of his friends got stuck in a dungeon and needs a blow, so just that he can come back up and fly again. But this Shiftry and his team really doesn't want to help him. They're a little greedy. But one of the most prestigious teams, where the leader is Alakazam, Charizard, and Tyranitar, comes over and convinces them to actually go help them out. Both of these teams will become very important parts of the story later on, but for now, we just continue doing our work. But after that, as I said, I was just continuing my work, going through some dungeons, helping out some people, increasing my rescue rank, and also getting some teammates that I later can use in dungeons. But not anything worth mentioning really, other than the many rewards and loot I got. And it did actually take quite a while to go through some of these dungeons, but mostly I went through Mount Steel to get a few things. After all that, Gengar and a few of his bandits come over to our team base and just start just ransacking our mailbox to see all of our jobs, so just that they can do for themselves. And one of these jobs is where Caterpie needs help helping his friend Metapod from a dungeon, and pretty much the other team here also wants to go do this so it is that they can recruit this Metapod to help them out, which I don't know why. They want world domination and they're going to use a Metapod for it. I think they're pretty stupid already. They're not going to fulfill anything. But it turns into a race and we have to go in and actually stop these guys before it is that they find this Metapod. Now, this rescue takes place in Sinister Woods, a place where there's a goddamn lot of grass types and bugs. But again, actually, not much to really talk about this place. It is a very easy place to go if you're early on. I'd honestly say Mount Steel is harder than this, but these guys are slightly higher level. Good place for grinding. And you should probably have brought an ally at this point, because at the end of the dungeon is another hard fight. No. Oh, no, it is. Okay. I'm gonna throw a rock first. Then we're gonna use a Petrify Orb. No, we're not gonna use it. Okay. Other ways of dealing with these people are Incinerate. That's big damage. That's big damage against me. That was a one-tap. So as you see here, this was not indeed an easy mission. As much as the dungeon was very easy to get through, the final boss battle was not. And I actually had to do a little bit of level grinding here to level up two more levels before I went back in. Uh, Another reason I lost was because, for some reason, doing some fights, these orbs will not work. I can understand that being able to stun somebody for maybe like 3 turns in a row is a little unfair, but I still think you should be able to use a few of them, or just at a lesser effect. But I had to actually go get some new items so it is that I could go actually beat them again. With the levels, it wasn't too bad. I'll show you it right here. Okay, they at least made it make sense. I do rather fight the Gengar. Yeah, because the Meditite just sets up Also, doesn't he only know Confucian? So, like, that's good. And Sudowoodo leveled up. If he's using Protect, then I shouldn't fight him. Honestly, I think I can just hit him with a low kick. No, no, I cannot. Okay, that hurts. It indeed does. But I have fire. What indeed unfair is that? Okay, bro. Cheats? How long does Protect last? That was like 5 turns of Protect. So as you saw from that battle, the best way to actually beat these guys is to not use your own moveset, just spam Blast Seeds on them. I would recommend going for Gengar first or Ekans. Ekans is definitely the bigger threat, being able to do way more damage, but Gengar's also a menace, while Meditite is a goddamn staller. That man should not be able to use Detect for 5 turns in a row. That is unbelievably unfair to deal with. But if you've leveled up a bit, you should be able to deal with this no problemo at all. Now, after that stupid fight, Jumpluff comes over to us, the people that Shiftry was meant to help. But it seems as if they haven't come back yet, so they got in trouble, and they want us to go help them. And considering we just started our team, and they're like a silver ranked team, I don't think it's a good idea, normally. But in this case, we're sent straight into it to go in to Mount Funda. Now we get there, we're told that there's a beast in here, a myth in the silent chasm here, where this monster here is a folklore, which might have been the reason why Shiftry didn't come out. And then Mudkip is having a moment, uh, acting like he's sick, and he's asking me if I'm sick, and like, nuh-uh. And he gets hella pissed. But yeah, we need to go in there either way, no matter if bro is sick or not. And this will be the start to the first dungeon I actually had some problems with. So I will be going over these. Well, some of these problems you might come out for, as you can see on this, is that these dungeons, as they're randomized, can make you run around the entire goddamn dungeon. Now, a good tip that I've learned playing through this game is never go where you think the exit is. Never. Don't listen to yourself. It is never where you try to go. They tend to be right in and that one room you walked past in the beginning of the game. When you walk past that, that's where it is. And it'll always be in the last room you check. It's goddamn annoying. I know there is no actual way you can determine where it is, but just check the rooms that are closest to you on the path you're going. And it's very luck based. Second off, carry some poison berries. These poison berries will help you. There's weedles and stuff in here, and if you get poisoned, your team will start dying. Also, if you get a teammate, as you can see here, I have a Teddiursa that I found inside this dungeon here. Use them. Allow them to join your team so that you can gain an extra teammate to help you fight through this dungeon. Because it is pretty damn long. It's one of the longest ones in the beginning here. And you'll need all the help you can get to save BP and to save some of your own HP. So yeah, utilize these guys whenever you can. It doesn't matter if they're a bad Pokemon or not. You don't have to use them later. Just use them in this one dungeon here, and then just deny them joining your camp later. Well, once you actually get through the dungeon, you see this beast that was able to beat Shiftry, and it is the electric legendary bird, Zapdos. And he tells you if you want to actually rescue Shiftry, you need to go to Mount Thunder, uh, and you have to go beat him there. You have to get to the top of there, which that will be the first, what I'd actually consider a real boss dungeon. As much as the Gengar battle and the Skarmory battle are technically considered the boss battles, I'd say there's a good 5 bosses in this game that are the main threats, and this is the first of those. And you have to actually go through this dungeon immediately after this one. It's as if these quests are, well, very important. But you can always just wait them out, do some level grinding. You don't have to do them specifically when you get them. I just do it because it's more balanced at that time, but every person has their own playstyle. Now, once you actually get to Mount Thunder, this is where stuff starts actually going down. Now, the dungeon has 2 sections. The first section is the long part where you have to go through all these rooms as normal, and you try to get to the top while not dying throughout it. And the second part is just a very short rest period at the end of it. Now, that part isn't really that hard, but that's the one part you get to save. So it is that you can actually rebattle them in a row. Or when you get there, you're also able to find a little bit of remaining loot, get some levels up. I'd recommend if you lose to the boss, you actually want to stay up at the top floor a little longer, battle a few guys, get a level or two. Doesn't take that long level grinding in this one. So that's a good recommendation. But the main thing in this dungeon is Zapdos. But again, the dungeon here is very important. I had some weird moments. I don't want to go the entire way back anymore, but I kind of have to. Oh, I'm paralyzed. Please, for the love of God, no! It's okay. Bro, I'm not mad. I just have fun doing other things then. Goodness. Petrify. Now he's paralyzed. Huzzah! Now I'm paralyzed! No! No, that's not how I wanted to go! No! 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 Now from that, you can tell that is not a very good part. You will really want to be careful with those Electabuses, because paralyzation is the #1 way to get screwed over in this game. And that little paralyze you just got there could just cost you the entire run if you or your partner dies, which in this case is Mudkip, which I have a certain term that I like to use when it comes to this Mudkip doing stuff. We call it a Mudkip moment, and I have a lot of those moments happening. And they're the worst. But after that entire ordeal, I get to the peak of Mount Thunder, and we get to meet Zapdos. And this is where your little, well, not very much preparation that you really haven't been doing, as I haven't at least, is going to cost you a lot. Now, I'm not the type of guy to like soft resetting to get through stuff, but I'm just gonna flat out say the truth here. This might have taken me a bit more than one attempt. Now, one of the main reasons is not that I play very badly, it is more that Mudkip plays it very badly, and you'll see right here. Not just did he spawn at the front, of course. Uh, I did do a bit of a misplay here at the beginning. I'm gonna be honest. I just threw rocks at him, hoping that would work, but that did cost me the run. And pretty much when I tried to go back up there, I don't think you can guess what happened to me. Is not gonna just come beat you up and steal your money. Run away! No, not you too! No! Wait a minute. This is rigged. No. No, it cannot be. I'm paralyzed again. I am so dead. How am I alive? I'm not. That's a lot. That's a lot of things in one room, huh? Bro roared me so hard, I flew backwards into my teammate. Man, don't you just hate it when you roar so much that you just get flung backwards into your friend? This looks like I'm gonna die. There's so many! It is a 1 in a million, I will say. This is not very good for me. Mudkip, stop fucking tackling! What is bro doing? How can I win? How can I win if my teammate won't stop using... I'm just doing this, you know. Not for any particular reason. I'm not gonna ever need this save file. I never have needed it. Just in case. You never know. I do. That's why I'm so rich. Wait, karate chop the bird. I don't care if it's not very effective. Do I have an Oran Berry? I do. I love it when the Nidoran is just standing there. Compilation of every time I have to save the game. What? I haven't even done it once. Oh wait, it actually seems like I'm winning. I spoke too soon, didn't I? Then I have to beat Goku by bare knuckles. Okay. So throwing a rock turn 1 seemed to give me a decently good outcome. Other than the fact that the 2 other guys are useless. Okay. Oran Berry. Give that to Mr. Boy. Can he not eat the berry when I give it to him? No, just... Of course I gave him the bear, doesn't mean he uses it. Why should you use something you're given? It just doesn't make sense. You know, you see them high numbers like, oh shit, I'm doing good. And then Mudkip gets one shot. Oh! Let's go! Not even a single death! Now, after that very disappointing performance from me, I was definitely underleveled. I'm going to be telling you how you're actually going to be beating this Zapdos because, in all honesty, this is the second hardest boss in the game for me throughout this. One thing, I'd recommend you doing a few more missions than me. I just completely went. Ever since I got the Mount Steel quest, I haven't done a single side dungeon. So what I'd recommend, do about 2, 3 more side dungeons before going here. It'll get you about a level or two higher. And as much as 1 or 2 levels don't seem like a lot, in this dungeon, it is a whole lot. Another thing I'd recommend, if you don't do a lot of damage, use blast seeds and try to sacrifice your teammates if you don't want to actually lose. As much as you might want to keep them for later, a lot of the time, you're not even going to use them ever again. You're going to have like one good one, and that's the only one you'll be using. And try to maneuver around so everyone gets to actually fight the boss, and make sure to keep yourself above what the maximum damage he can actually output. So, for example, if he could do like 37 damage to you with Thunderbolt, never be at 37 or lower health. Even if it's like a kind of a waste of an Oran Berry, sometimes they just miss or just don't attack really. So that's a really good tip for you. Other than that, there's not much I can actually say about this fight. It is really hard, but it's doable with the right tools. Now, after this is the end of the video. Pretty much, this is part one out of multiple parts, since I don't want the recordings to be all too long while still being able to have the stuff I want to talk about in it. So, yeah, this is part one. Part two will be going over mostly the rest of the game, pretty much actually the entire game. So, if you enjoyed, like, maybe even subscribe if you want to watch more of this type of content. I'll be doing a lot more of these. After I've beaten these games, I will be playing the next Pokemon Mystery game on the list. So yeah, stay tuned, and I hope you guys have a great day.